There's nothing more satisfying than growing your own veggies at home. It's a beautiful thing, and if you can give them their own dedicated garden bed, you're well on your way to success. Now I'm going to be building a simple raised veggie garden that's easy to put together. Now remember, veggies need lots of sun, and this position is perfect. It's north facing, we've got sun all day. I'm using ACQ treated pine sleepers, 200 by 50 by 2.4. Now the veggie garden is going to be 2.4 long by 1.2 wide by 600 high, and we get the 600 3 sleepers on edge, and that's what gives us a really nice working height. It's always a good idea to measure your sleepers before you start. I know I've said they're 2.4, but they're usually a little bit longer. So we measured that, and sure enough, this one is 2405. That's 2,405 millimeters. Now, if you want the perfect half, we then go to 1202.5. We won't worry about the 0.5. Mark that. And then that's where we'll cut. Now I know we're only building a veggie garden. This isn't some high-end joinery job, so if you're a couple of millimeters out, don't worry about it. It's just nice to be accurate. Whenever you cut treated pine, you're exposing all this untreated timber in the middle, which is asking for rot and decay to set in. It doesn't matter if you're building a veggie garden, a deck, or a retaining wall, you should always reseal this exposed untreated timber. I'm using 100mm batten screws to screw the sleepers together with the impact driver. And being treated pine, it's nice and soft, so there's no need for pre-drilling. It's 2 screws per corner, and for the next course I'm offsetting the joints, which gives a much stronger job. At each corner I'm putting in a post and screwing that off to all the sleepers, and that'll tie the whole thing together. Plus I'm going to have a post in the middle and a center bracing piece, and that'll stop all the sleepers from bowing. So it's structurally sound, and also it looks good. And let's face it, that's the main thing. Now comes the center bracing, and to find the center, I'm going to measure the whole length. On the inside is 2350. Half of that is 1175. So I'll make a mark here. Likewise on this side, and then drop in the center brace, and then screw it off from this side, and then put the post on. The beauty of this design and these dimensions is that there is no waste at all. We've used 11 sleepers, and all of the cuts are in multiples of 600. We've got 600 posts, we've got 1200 side pieces, and 2.4 full sleepers along here. Zero waste. In fact, I am wrong. There's been a little bit of sawdust waste, but that's biodegradable, plus this little offcut from the centerpiece. But you know what? That's handy for just tapping your sleepers into place, using it as a little wedge, and then later on, maybe a paperweight. To find the location for the screws, I've got a center mark here, and then I'm plumbing that up with the level. Just make a line there, and that way I know that the screws are going through the center brace and not missing it. Now before I bring in the new soil, I'm going to turn over the existing grass and weeds for 2 reasons. One, we're going to disrupt all that weed and grass growth, but more importantly, we're going to blend the new soil with the existing, and that's critical for good drainage. If you don't do that and just bring in the new soil, no matter how good it is, the water will drain through and it'll just sort of sit on the surface, and you end up with a bit of a perched water table. So always mix the new with the existing. I'm lining the inside with builder's plastic. This will help stop any discharge through the joins in the timber and also retain soil moisture. And I'm just attaching it with these shade cloth fasteners. Now your soil is absolutely critical to success, and what we've got here is a combination. We've got a planter box mix which has a high sand content, and that's really important for drainage because after all this is a container, so drainage is critical. Plus we've beefed it up with some mushroom compost to really pack in those nutrients, and that's what veggies want. Now here's the tip. How much do you order? Well, it's a simple formula. Length times width times depth. In this case it's 2.4 by 1.2 by 600, gives us just over 1.5 meters. Well, the new veggie garden's really taking shape. All the soil is in, and now it's almost time to plant, and what a selection. I've got the kale, the coriander, tomatoes, the pak choi, we've got some mint, rosemary, we've even got the edible pansies. It really is the full-on smorgasbord. But before I plant, here's a really good tip for you. We're going to give these plants a good soak in the Seasol solution. It's like a spa treatment, it's a seaweed bath. Remember, when you plant plants out, they do go into a little bit of shock. So the Seasol helps reduce all that transplant shock. We'll leave them in here for a while and then we'll plant them out. Tomatoes are great fun to grow. They're the most popular veggie, and for good reason. They're great fun. There's lots of different varieties and they're really good for you. And I'm putting a couple in the new veggie garden. And the first tip, I've got them at the end here because they get pretty big. So here at the end, there's plenty of room for them and they'll be easy to harvest later on. Now this here is called Genuine, and I've got another one here called Nelly Kelly. It's a cracker. Now, soil prep. Before we start, I'm going to use a little bit of this controlled release fertilizer specifically formulated for tomatoes and veggies. Don't need too much though. Just going to mix a little bit into the bottom of the planting hole, turn that into the soil, and then before I plant the plant, I'm just going to cover that a little bit so that we don't burn the roots. Get out the Nelly Kelly, like so. Over he goes, and then backfill. And the beauty of the controlled release fertilizer is, as the name suggests, it's a controlled release fertilizer, so it'll deliver all the nutrients as required without burning the plant. Then the final piece, we water in with Seasol. So all the veggies are in, and now I'm going to water them all in with the Seasol solution. Now this will do a couple of things. First of all, it helps get all the soil around the root zone, and also it just gives them another blast of that seaweed magic. Now mulch is really important. That's the last part of the process, and I'm using this sugarcane mulch, which is excellent gear. It's amazing how far this will spread. That bag will do 9 square meters at 50 millimeters. So there you go, that's veggies with ruck. Now all I've got to do is work out what I'm going to do with this offcut. Now in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to give these veggies a feed with the power feed for veggies and tomatoes, and I'm going to repeat that process on a fortnightly basis, and trust me, these will be the biggest, freshest, tastiest, most amazing veggies in the whole of Australia.